Meditation Meeting, August 3rd, 1980. LL Research channeling Hatonn, Laitos, and Latwii. Carla channeling. I am Hatonn, and I greet you in the love and the light of the infinite Creator. It gives me great pleasure to welcome each of you, and especially those who are new to this group. For it is a great privilege to be able to make contact with our brothers upon your sphere who are seeking to know the same truth that we are seeking to know. We look down upon your sphere at this time from a distance of approximately, as this instrument would say, 8 of your miles. It is mostly in shadow at this time from our vantage point. Within those shadows, my friends, are many, many peoples who have largely concluded their business for the day. Many are sleeping. Many are not yet sleeping, but are distracting themselves. Some contemplate the weighty problems of their possessions, and a few, my friends, like you, seek to know the truth. We hope that we can tell you enough that you can find the key to the door on the other side of which lies the truth. That is our highest hope. No more than that can we hope to do, for you already have the key, but you have largely lost the ability and the will to use it. You must understand that so much, my friends, of what you think and do is in vain, pertaining only to a daily life that is transient. What of your wisdom have you not found turned to folly? Of how many of your possessions have you not grown tired? How many of your words remain shining, and how many have become tarnished or forgotten? How many lives have you touched today, my friends? You see, my friends, within the illusion that you now enjoy, it is useless to attempt to be of service by yourself. You cannot store up enough possessions to be of service to yourself or to others. You cannot store up enough goodwill in your heart to be pleasant of your own accord. For those of us with free will, my friends, have that fatal weakness of those with free will. We are separated from infinity by our self-consciousness. The way to discover the key of which we spoke? Ah, yes, my friends, that lies beyond the illusion. That is not in vain, nor is it a striving after shadows, although it may seem to be the only thing that you do that is not real. And that, my friends, is of course meditation. In meditation, day by day, month by month, year by year, you develop within yourself a certain bias or means of approaching the illusion. You find yourself equipped with a connection to infinite supplies of patience, goodwill, kindness, and the many other fruits of love. Look at your life, my friends. You are looking at a Looney Tune. It is not your fault. That is your vibration. Put the captions under the comics. Smile to yourself and proceed, for there is more. There is something behind the cartoon. There is a reality which is unnameable, unknowable, ineffable, and unspeakable. However, my friends, it can be experienced and shared. And this is where we go beyond, and I say far beyond, my friends, the wisdom of your peoples. For they do not believe that there is a possibility that your life could possibly mean anything. Many of your peoples honestly cannot conceive of a greater reality than the vanity and the folly which they now enjoy. We assure you, my brothers and sisters, there is a reality, and then another, and then another, each one clearer than the last, each one truer to the original thought of love. And as you meditate, as your mind and your heart become accustomed to the vibrations of silence and inward possession of yourself, you will begin to ascend more and more into these realms of higher reality, until you yourself may see, without being disturbed, the folly of this particular vibration. You will not be disturbed because you will see it as an opportunity to witness, by the love that you show forth, the name of the Creator which you carry in your eyes and in your hands, as you give and receive love and service with each other. It is written in your holy works, "Store not up for yourselves treasures upon earth, where moth and rust corrupt, and thieves may break in and steal. But rather store up for yourselves treasures in heaven, and you will have the better part." Have you stored up treasures, my friends? Which department do they fit into? In your daily life, take the time to give of yourself in meditation to the Creator who never leaves you. As you give yourself to that consciousness, it will give itself to an infinite amount to you. At this time, I would speak a few words through the one known as E. I am Hatonn. E. Channeling. I am Hatonn, and I greet you in the love and the light of the infinite Creator. And it is a pleasure to speak to you through this instrument. I am Hatonn. I am Laitos, and I also greet you in love and light, as do my brothers and sisters of Hatonn. It is my privilege to work with each of you who request our conditioning and aid in deepening your meditative state. If you will mentally request the presence of Laitos, I will at this time move among you and make my presence known to each of you. I am Laitos. Carla, channeling. I am again with this instrument. We have been attempting to speak to the one known as Jim without using this instrument to transfer contact. We feel we came very close to making the transfer without any intermediate help, and we are very glad. At this time, we will transfer to the one known as Jim. I am Laitos. Jim, channeling. I am Laitos, and I am with this instrument. It is once again a pleasure to be able to share a few of our thoughts through this instrument. We have always offered our assistance, and will continue to offer our assistance to any who ask for our conditioning wave while in meditation. We seek to serve those of your people by introducing them to our vibrations. This allows those who request our aid to experience a deeper and more probing meditation. It is a way of, shall we say, stepping up the frequency of your vibrations and opening a doorway, or, as this instrument would say, a channel for our thoughts to flow through. By aiding any who ask in their meditations, we are grateful to be able to aid each in their journey to the Source. For each of your peoples now, in some way, are feeling the necessity for making that pilgrimage to their own inner knowing, their own well-known, yet long forgotten, home. It is always a joy for us to be of service to such pilgrims who wish to make this most meaningful of all journeys, the journey to the infinite Creator from which we all spring and draw our energies. May we say once again that should you request our aid at any time in your meditations, we will be most happy to lend that aid. For such service is our purpose among your people now, and is a great joy for us to give. For as you all know, and are discovering in more fullness, the more you give unto your brothers and sisters, unto all creation, the more you receive in knowledge and growth and love. For are we not all one? And when we give to another, do we not also receive in some degree? We would now transfer our contact to the one known as Carla. I am Laitos. Carla, channeling. I am with this instrument. I am Laitos. I thank you for allowing us to work with you and urge you to call upon us at any time. We are but those who wish you well. Hatonn, my friends. We leave you in love and light and are always with you if you request it in meditation. I am Laitos. I am Latwii. I must adjust this instrument. I am too strong for this instrument. If you will be patient. I am Latwii. I am Latwii. How are you all this evening, my friends? We are so very happy to be here. We greet you in love and light. Hallelujah, my friends. We think this is wonderful. Hello, how are you? We greet you. Thank you. We are so glad to be with you. We have been listening to the messages of our brothers as they come through these instruments, and we have been very inspired. We find that your peoples, even though they are much too serious, certainly do mean well, and we think that you are very good people. We were wondering if we could perhaps be of service to you this evening by answering your questions, even though we realize that since we are all one being, it is like a stomach asking an ear, "How are you today?" But still, we would like to offer ourselves to you at this time. For what little knowledge that we may have, may we invoke the light and love of the Creator in our honest attempt to be of service to you. Is there a question at this time? Questioner. It has come to my attention that many of my friends and myself have found difficulty in emotional relationships within the past week. Is there a special form of work being done on the earth that is causing this effect? Latwii. I am Latwii. My brother, we must answer you in two parts. The first is that there are methods being worked on which will alter the emotional state of individuals. However, my brother, these are instruments of war and are not used on civilians in the locality in which you are now residing at this time. For the most part, my brother, difficulties in emotional relationships must indicate to the serious student of himself that there is work to be done upon the self. You must understand that there are no problems outside of the self, and that if you find a difficulty in dealing with what you perceive as another person, this is because you have not yet realized that not only is that other person yourself, but that you are creating in your mind a scenario or a play in which this problem takes place. This can be rewritten. You have the free choice at any moment of time to perceive the game, the play, the scenario, and rewrite your lines. This will take a bit of time, some effort upon your part, some well-directed meditation, and contemplation following meditation. However, you will find that it is an unerring fact that all problems are of your own manufacture. The world in which each of you live, my brothers and sisters, is your own private universe. Nothing from the outside may come in to harm you. Only your own perceptions and thoughts can harm you. If you are being hurt, you must examine those thoughts and those perceptions and discover the separation that is producing disharmony. Does this answer your question, my brother? Questioner: Yes, it does. Latwii: Is there another question at this time? Questioner: Yes, Latwii. In relation to what you just said, does that apply to everyone on this planet? Latwii: I am Latwii. Yes, my brother. All living things are responsible for their own individual perceptions. We feel that there is more to this question than you have expressed, and we are open to a further question if you wish. Questioner: Well, I have a question in regards to that. And that is, then, as there is so much suffering in this world, I would like to know if many entities incarnating on this planet were in need of the suffering. Latwii: That is correct, my brother. Many people, as you call them, choose situations which seem to be of some degree of suffering. This is because they will learn what they need to learn. Not in this illusion, which is evanescent, but in a higher understanding, which is not so short-lived. They choose these situations for the learning. However, during the process of incarnation, the Oversoul blankets itself, as does a man in a shroud, hiding in the shadows, so that the individual does not remember why he desired the lessons that he is now attempting to learn. Therefore, the challenge is to understand the lesson and to learn the lesson that is presented by the situation in which you find yourself. The lesson is always one away from separation and towards love, away from attachment and towards love, away from what you call love and towards the burning desire and joy that is truly love. You have a birthright of freedom. There is no situation, no matter how ghastly to the senses of your physical eyes and ears, that is not rich in possibility to the immortal soul. Suffering is but for the moment and is full of purpose. There are those who do not need to learn lessons involved with suffering. They need instead to learn to conquer idleness, wealthiness, or some other desire which in the past has karmically led them to working out on this plane the desires that have held them back and kept them from being free. Therefore, you may see many things as forms of suffering that are not understood in your world as suffering. And you may see many things that seem to be filled with suffering that in truth are being used to learn precious lessons that will aid the traveler a bit more along what is truly a straightened path, narrow and rocky, but full, nevertheless, of the joy of learning and of sharing. We understand, my brother, your compassion for those who suffer. Suffer then also. Let them fully into your heart and feel what they feel. This is what the teacher known as Jesus did. It was a simple act, but it seems to mean a great deal to your peoples. He could not take the suffering away. He could share it, and one look at those sad eyes would help many to understand why those who knew this teacher were so devoted to him. Does this answer your question, my brother? Questioner. Yes, thank you, Latwii. Latwii. I thank you, my brother. Is there another question at this time? Questioner. I have a question about the type of contact that is made in channeling. It is said that the ideal contact is made up of 30% of the instrument's own thoughts and experiences and words, and 70% from the Confederation. I am wondering, of the instrument's 30%, where does this information come from? Is it from the conscious, the subconscious, the memory? Could you shed some light on that? Latwii. We can, my brother, but it may not be totally sensible. Because of the fact that each individual's mind works so differently, that when we work in an individual's mind, it is like learning an entirely new computer system, shall we say. The electrical impulses are not in any two cases formed in the same way. There are minds whose intuition is linked very closely with conscious thought. There are other minds who have almost no memory, but whose day-by-day sensations and thoughts are as clear as a brook, and we can use those things. Other minds are wired in such a way that there is a very large amount to retrieve from memory of those things thought and read. This instrument is of that type, which among your peoples would be called intellectual. The only unfortunate thing about this instrument is that her fields of knowledge are not particularly those of the Renaissance person, and so many questions go completely from one ear to the other without stopping in any way, shape, or form. Therefore, we have difficulty. In each case, we use what there is to use. We begin with a vocabulary that must be the instrument's, for we give to the instrument only concepts. The instrument must find the words to speak what is given. We also attempt to scan the instrument's knowledge, books, experiences, and thoughts to find the closest to which we would call enlightenment, so that we may use certain touchstones within that person's experience upon which to hang a more complex framework, a more varied tapestry of thoughts. We do this in order that we may touch as many different minds as possible in whatever size group to which we speak, so that in each mind we have struck a chord which may cause a small transformation in thinking, which may in turn cause a feeling of joy, peace, or happiness, which may in turn cause each person to seek. Our desire is to challenge your desire. Thus, we start with the instrument and we proceed therefrom, touching with the instrument's mind again and then again. As we scan, we will correct this instrument. As we scan the minds of those within the circle to find what they may wish to listen to. May we answer you further, my brother? Questioner. Just one additional question. How does the number of people in the meditation group affect the clarity of the message? Latwii. This instrument understands the question. Unfortunately, side 1 of the tape recording this session ends here, and so we don't hear the answer to that previous question. We pick up on side 2 with Carla still channeling Latwii. Questioner. How do you provide the concepts? How do they come into our minds? Are they verbal or non-verbal? How do we recognize them? Latwii. I am Latwii. The nature of thought is not understood by your peoples. It is electrical in nature and is a function of your connection with what you would call your oversoul. How do you think, my brother? When you think something, how has it come into your mind? We assure you that prior to thought, you are dealing with concepts. Then, as these concepts reach a conscious state of mind, you are obliged to voice them internally in a semblance or cloak made of the words which you have learned as you have grown from a young child to a grown person. Then you are able to use these words to express this thought. However, prior to the words was the concept. Therefore, we use that part of your connection with the Oversoul, which is deep within you, and allow the concepts to rise to your mind consciously, seemingly your own thoughts. We do this in order that you may at any time refuse to speak, for we do not wish to cause you to speak if you do not wish to. There are those who use what are called trance mediums, and they speak whether or not they may wish to speak. However, we prefer to provide you with a constant choice between our thoughts and silence. Even when we speak through this instrument, at any moment she could simply stop speaking. We would retire, gracefully, we hope, and come again when there was a request for our presence. Always we use the concepts, and this is the nature of telepathic contact. Thus, if you wished to telepathically speak to one among your peoples who speaks in another language, you could send the word in your language, and the person would receive it in his language. Do you wish to question us further on this phenomenon, my brother? Questioner: Not at this time, Latwii. Latwii: Is there another question at this time? Questioner: I'd like to ask another question, Latwii, and it goes back to the information you just gave. And that is, when I'm channeling, then instead of looking for words, what I should be doing is opening up to concepts. Is that correct? Latwii: Ah, my brother, you have been doing very well. But you must not worry about doing anything. When you channel, you speak. When a ball is thrown, you catch. Is this not so? You do not think about, I shall place my hand here. No, I shall place my hand there. No, I shall move my feet, and then I shall swing my hips over here, and then my shoulders will be here, and my elbow will be cocked this way, and then I will catch the ball. By that time, my brother, the ball will be upon the grass. Therefore, you do not think when you catch a ball. And when we send to you a concept, it is sent and you catch, and then you throw. By this we mean you speak, and when you speak, your hand is free. That is, your mind is empty. And again you catch, and again you throw. Many times, this instrument has been in stark terror, because someone from the Confederation, usually our brother Hatonn, who is a little pedantic, will say, "There are 3 reasons why." And this instrument does not know any reasons why. And therefore, she must trust that Hatonn will pull her through and tell her all 3 reasons. This is what you must face when you channel. It is simply nothing. You do not know what will occur. Therefore, you are empty-handed. That is, empty-minded. And when you think of something that feels very much like your own thought, but you know that you are not thinking, you say it. And if you say it, you will receive another thought. You have mastered this basic technique without achieving a feeling of grace while doing so. Therefore, we encourage you to relax and allow your natural, shall we say, sense of rhythm to take over and let you play the game of channeling. For it is a game that is, we hope, of some service among your peoples. Does this answer your question, my brother? Questioner: Yes, it does. Latwii: Is there another question at this time? Questioner: Yes, I have a question. When I was down at the farm a long time ago, I astral projected to the top of the ridge, and when I was there was somebody standing on the other side of me. But something kept me from looking one way or the other to see who they were, and I was wondering if you could shed some light on it. Inaudible. Latwii: I am Latwii. My brother, you just made a joke. However, it would be difficult to explain to you. We are light beings. We can say to you only that you are experiencing not 2, but 3 of the ones who are with you. They are what you would term angelic entities, much as we are. However, they are of your planetary sphere. When you need to understand, you are always aided by these particles of your oversoul, which appear as guides or helpers. In the projected state, you were able to see them. However, due to your carefully balanced projection, you were not able to move freely in your new environment. We realize that you basically already understood this and are glad to be of some help in confirming. Does this answer your question in full, my brother? Questioner: Yes, thank you. One more thing. I haven't been able to project in quite a while now, and I was wondering, in that it used to happen next to me, just seemingly for no special reason, it just happened. I was wondering if there was any method I could use to increase the possibility of this, inaudible, to astral project. Latwii: I am Latwii. My brother, we do not wish to give you a hard time, but we might suggest sending your children to college. Unfortunately for your more esoteric desires, the rewards of the hard work and responsibility of loving and caring for a family will cause your physical body to need its contact with these very entities in a very deep and subconscious state. You are grasping your lessons while you sleep as quickly as you can. Therefore, you being starved, shall we say, for this vibration, inaudible, you do simply not have the time, as you would say, to consciously project. If you were to find a way to spend a few hours in an environment which was conducive to relaxation on a regular basis, so that you were completely rested and continually meditated each day, you would then find yourself in a more appropriate position to reawaken this particular skill, which to some extent is natural for you, although not for everyone. However, it is just a trick and not particularly enlightening. So we say to you, you are learning much more by being of service than by projecting. We, however, wish you the good feelings that you experience during those moments. Does this answer your question, my brother? Questioner: Yes. Latwii: Is there another question at this time? Questioner: I have a question. Several years ago, I experienced the sensation of being in space. The experience has returned to my thoughts very recently. I feel that there is more that I'm supposed to learn from this experience. Is there anything you can contribute? Latwii. I am Latwii. We scan this for you. We cannot speak fully to you, for you do, indeed, have some to learn, and we will not, shall we say, pass out the answers before the 10-minute quiz. We simply say to you that consciousness is infinite, and you will come to understand that more and more. Is there another question at this time? Questioner. Yes. Inaudible. Latwii. I am Latwii. We are not in the correct density to see your weather. We will, if you like, zip down a couple and check it out for you. Questioner. That's all right. It's not necessary. Inaudible. Latwii. We can see many colors as we look through the densities, but each density colors the one below it, so that we would have trouble seeing the vibrations of your weather systems until we were somewhat closer to your density. Is there another question, my brother? Questioner. Speaking of colors, Latwii, I remember your saying that we perceive less than 1 octave of color. I was under the impression that red to violet was an octave, Rather, violet was the next octave higher vibration of red. Apparently I was mistaken. Could you elaborate on that? Latwii. Only insofar as this instrument can use our concepts, my brother. You must understand that from X-ray to ultraviolet, although it is not considered to be of 1 octave in your physics, is indeed part of 1 octave in our understanding, which we would hesitate to call physics because we understand both thought and thing as vibration. We are not sure whether we should call ourselves vibrators due to this instrument's unfortunate connotations with that word. However, we will not call ourselves physicists, although in your language that would be our specialty. Indeed, your octave reaches beyond what your instruments detect at this time along the ultraviolet, as you call it, although your peoples have a rather murderous understanding of the red end of the octave, which is imperceptible to the human eye beyond a certain vibration. May we answer you further? Questioner. Not at this time, Latwii. Latwii. Is there another question? Questioner. Yes, I have a question. Are you familiar with, associated with, the Comforter of which Jesus spoke? Latwii. I am a voice which you may call Comforter. The one which your teacher, known as Jesus, or Jehoshua, spoke, simply meant Spirit. We are messengers of that Spirit, and as messengers, we are part of that Spirit. And we are sent to comfort you, as are a host of others. May we answer you further, my brother? Questioner. And are you comforted as well by this Spirit? Latwii. We live and breathe and are completely sustained by this Spirit. We know no life but joy. We let this sink to your heart, my brother, and then ask, may we speak further to you? Questioner. My mouth would say yes, but I'm not sure my conscience would say it. Latwii. We leave you in the peace that you seek, my brother, for it is within you, without you, about you, and forever surrounding you. Is there another question at this time? I am Latwii. This instrument is growing fatigued, and we feel that we have answered enough of your questions that we may take leave of her at this time. We leave you in the glories of your sixth density. It is a beautiful place, and we are watching a yellow vibration at this time, as you would call it. We are traveling between yellow and a violet. It is truly beautiful as we watch them lap together. We leave you in a circle of love and joy. Let it never leave you, my friends. Let it lift you ever higher. Come join us, my friends. The kingdom awaits. Love awaits. Hatonn, my friends, we leave you in love and light. I am known to you as Latwii.
Go forth then, rejoicing in the power and the peace of the one infinite Creator.